Hello. I've been given the task to look at our intake interview process for students who are entering the College of Education. These students have typically already completed a semester, sometimes 2 semesters before making application and applying to the College of Education. We've always had questions proposed for our students that they would sit down with a team of faculty members, sometimes 2 or 3 faculty members, and as we pose these questions individually, we would score those students and their responses. And then at the end, Mary Lee in the past has had to tally those. My colleague, Mrs. Terry, is going to be helping me and put this on a Excel spreadsheet. So once again, as we score, it will happen automatically, and we will be able to have that data collected very quickly for our assessment purposes. So as you can see, Dr. Forstoffel is going to be my Vanna White this afternoon, and we're going to scroll down. Several of the questions we've had in the past, some of them I took liberty and kind of changed them just slightly. What's been your development in the interest of teaching? And when did you first become interested in teaching? So we want to listening for how well they express themselves. If you think it's a well-intended question or response to that question, what grade level and content do they plan to teach? How do you want your students to view you? Once again, we're looking at some type of a more mature response. We just don't want them to say, I want them to think I'm fun, or something like that. How important is success in learning? So we're starting to get a little bit more involved with that whole pedagogy and content of teaching, and do they understand that it is about having our students be successful? I think this is a student question that came out of our previous bank of questions. When students say they want their teacher to be fair, what do they mean by that? So that typically has stumped a lot of our students. So I think it had merit to keep that. Would you describe to me what makes an outstanding teacher? Tell us what you believe an ideal school would be. What do you want to be doing 5 years from now is a pretty standard question. I did some research with some other universities, what kind of questions they had, and ours were very comparable. What students would you categorize as being special needs or having special needs? That's always very interesting. Don't let those students, don't forget, students with giftedness are also considered special needs. Very seldom do we hear about that population. And what does diversity mean in your classroom? And that, once again, we're not just talking culture there. It's lots of diversity. So then these scores are kind of an evaluation, enthusiasm, confidence, motivation, and a personal appearance. Oral communication, we're listening for some good grammar, voice level, are they whispering, are they too loud, do they have their thoughts organized, kind of looking at those kinds of things. We've added a writing prompt to the interview process. There was a lot of conversation, should we have them read a periodical, read an educational journal, and then reflect on it, but we have to remember the entrance level of these students. All right, for most of them, they are 19, maybe pushing 20, maybe they're a sophomore. The suggestion was made that we give them a writing prompt. The prompt was, explain your educational history in no more than so many paragraphs. Explain what type of school settings you have attended, the atmosphere of the districts, and how your educational history has impacted you as a future educator. So we're looking at things, command of the language, written language, and thoughts are clear and organized. This is another option that we can look at for an essay. The categories for scoring came in E, being exceptional, when there's a descriptor clause there, explicit connections about the event, things were organized, they used appropriate word choice. Then we went into superior, and then we rolled into competent, adequate, and weak. Students score adequate or weak on the written communication portion of the interview. I think that we should be on solid ground there to be able to make a recommendation that they attend the Student Success Center or take an additional English course. Questions?
I have a question on the writing prompt. Are they going to do that at the interview?
they know that their interview is at 10, but we would like them to arrive at 9:30, and we'll give them the writing prompt, and they're gonna do it written in hand, by hand, or they're just gonna have to stay.
Or
No,
turn it in. They
before
could turn it in during at the beginning of their interview, or if they aren't done, they can turn it in after that.
So in other words, we really do want them to do it by hand and not get in their computer and
Yeah.
start typing.